Good morning. Welcome to A is for Authors. And we're so excited today because we have a new author from our community, and his name is Brogen. And Brian is the author of 100-Hour Pilot. And so we're just happy to have you here. Thank you for joining us today. And we're just going to ask you a few questions so that our community will know about your book and be ready to purchase it, read it, or check it out, or whatever. So tell us a little bit about yourself first.
Well, thank you for having me today. I appreciate that. And again, I'm Brian Brogen. I'm a sixth-generation Floridian, native Floridian, and been in Polk County my whole life. Today I live in a little community called Shakora, which is just west of Fort Meade. So Fort Meade's kind of my adopted town, so we come here for a lot of things, haircuts and things like that. But the book, the story behind the book, I have always enjoyed aviation. I've loved to watch planes fly. In fact, I remember running into the house one time with my parents and telling them there was an acrobatic plane out there, and I was so excited to share that with them. And that was early on, probably about 9 years old, that I remember that day. And from then on, I've always wanted to be a pilot. I joined the Civil Air Patrol at 13 years old and had a good time doing that and got to fly an airplane at that age. And then from then on, all through my life, I wanted to be a pilot, but I didn't feel like I could afford to do the time or the investment of funds. But finally, at the age of 40, I decided to make it happen. And so that's the reason we started the book, and then we tell a story about the book in there.
Well, when you were talking, and you were talking about how you saw the aerobatic plane up in the sky, made me think about, I'm a lot older than you, but I stay near Sun and Fun, and to see those planes do all of those things. So, I think it's exciting. So I know that at a young age, any youngster would be thrilled about what they see. Now, in your book, you chronicle your whole experience of how you became a pilot. So what made you write down all of that, so that, because it's not just 1 year that it happened, it was over time. So what inspired you to want to chronicle your experiences?
Yeah, so yeah, I was a chronicle of my experience, and one thing that I found when I was becoming a pilot was most of the books are based on theory and on the statistics and how to do it, but nothing about the experience about doing it. And I didn't find that when I was becoming a pilot, so I decided, well, I'm going to write it. And as a pilot, you keep a log book, so everything you do, you chronicle it, and you show what time it took, how many landings, all those things. So I had that, and I turned that into a journal, and it was a great basis to have the book, to create the book.
Well, I as I was reviewing the book, I thought, well, I think this is good, because some people don't really know those little things. They look at the technical part of the experience and what they need to know, and what, look for what things do I need to know. It's not looking at the human side of things. And I think that your book looks at the human side of things and what the thought pattern is for a person who is learning how to do something, and what things that they should or should not do. I especially was fascinated by one of the stories you told about another person who had completed his experience, and how excited he become in the results when he was too excited before time. You remember that part?
I do, yes.
So tell us a little bit about that.
As a pilot, the last thing you have to do is go with an examiner, and this person will certify that you are able to fly an airplane. And when we completed the flight, he told me that I had passed. And I said, have you ever someone got so excited they ran and jumped and did backflips and those type of things? Because that's the way I felt inside. But he said, in fact, I do have a story about that. He said one of the students over at the college, so Polk State College, passed his exam, and he made him aware of that. But the student jumped out of the airplane without shutting the airplane down. And so then he actually failed the exam because that's what he did. It wasn't safe. And so he had to go back later and do that. So yeah, exactly. The excitement of becoming a pilot can overwhelm you.
Mm-hmm. So I think that was food for thought. When somebody knows that you shouldn't get too excited until the very, very, very end. And Now, since you had wanted to be a pilot since you were 10, 13 years old, and it was 40 before you achieved that, did you feel that way, that you wanted to just jump out that plane and shout, "Yay, I passed," or whatever? So you had that same kind of feeling?
Yes, Jackie, I was very excited. I had those same thoughts of wanting to jump and run and tell everyone. In fact, you'll find in the book that this was actually my second attempt. I failed my first attempt, so I had to try again. And so I was very excited to finally meet this goal of becoming a private pilot.
So this is the wonderful thing about this book, is because it's the human side of it. It shows the spirit, it shows the tenaciousness, the way that you kept on going until you achieve your goal. And so, I think it's a good read for anybody who aspires to want to fly, because it kind of walks you through what is happening in somebody's life, and that you don't give up because obstacles come in your way. And so I think that I encourage everyone to read 100 Hour Pilot, your book, because it's just fascinating to have that humanistic touch as you're reading through what it becomes to be a pilot. And so I think I've not read anything like that before, because I've never been excited about aviation period, but it inspires others to know that if you have a dream, you can pursue the dream. And your dream may not always happen when you want it, but if you continue to have that goal in mind and surround yourself with people who will encourage you, which you find out in this book that you had people who were encouraging you to do it, that you can fulfill your dream. So that's my take on dreaming. So what is your take about your dream?
Jackie, I love this question because we all have dreams and ambitions in life, and too often people don't set out a plan to fulfill them. And in fact, a local coach, Dr. Kelvin McCree, who's also a local author in Lakeland, when he and I talked about this book, this is the first book I've ever written. In fact, my worst subject in high school was English, and I barely graduated high school. I've never been to college, so I didn't feel that I should be writing a book. I shouldn't be an author with my experience and background. But Dr. Kelvin McCree told me, he said, "Brian, this is a leadership book because you're teaching people what they need to do to fulfill a dream. Whether it is becoming a pilot or other things in life, this shows how that human connection and ways to set a plan and accomplish a goal." And so it's the subtitle, Fulfilling a Lifelong Dream, is also about making dreams happen. In fact, one of the Amazon reviews says this isn't only for pilots, it's also for those that have dreams and aspirations, and I enjoy that review.
And that's my takeaway from the book too, that you started a certain place, you thought of something that you wanted, and then you went after what you wanted. Now, you gave me one of your business cards, and it said that you were a leadership consultant. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I am a strategic coach that helps people reach goals and make plans for life. And so I use this flight plan as an analogy to make things happen. So when we create a flight plan, and we're talking about going from Bartow, Florida, let's say up to Atlanta, Georgia, there's going to be a flight plan associated with that. And so you're going to figure out how to get from point A to point B, but along the way there are what we call checkpoints. And so you'll make sure you're on course, and if you're off course, you make small corrections to get back on course. And so we use that as an analogy. In fact, at Dr. Kelvin McCree's suggestion, I created leadership lessons from the 100-Hour Pilot, and we talk about how to create goals and stay on track and stay on course. You have to have fuel, so you have to plan for fuel, and what kind of fuel do we need in life to motivate and inspire us? And that's the analogy we use for that.
Okay, so your leadership led you to write this book about dreaming. And as I said, I'm just really, I think it's a great model for kids and adults who have dreams that they want to pursue, to engage in. And it makes me want to go back and examine the book even more. I took a quick read, but not a deep read, so I might need to go back and read it a little bit more. But tell us, how can we get a hold of your book?
So we have it for sale on Amazon, and I'm pleased to say that we've been on the top 100 aviation list a couple times now. The highest I've seen is 25. Of course, that fluctuates a lot, but it's exciting to see that. And a few of the Amazon reviews say that someone decided to become a pilot because of the book. So that's exciting.
Well, that is wonderful. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's right. A dream. If you have a dream, go for
Inspire
it.
folks.
Okay. All right. Now, is there anything else that you want to tell us before we close?
You alluded to it a little bit, but the whole flying community is very exciting to me, that people support each other, and you go somewhere and you meet another pilot, and that's very inspiring. And the same thing in life. When you get in a niche group, people that love something you love and enjoy, people support each other, and that's just a neat thing.
Well, it's wonderful to have you with us today, and we hope that many people tune in to see our A is for Author segment. And thank you for joining us, and we hope you get lots of requests for books on Amazon. So thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I've enjoyed it.